Welcome to More Than Legal, the show where we go behind the scenes to uncover the fine print of power, purpose, and profit. I'm your host, attorney Danielle Laughlin. After almost 2 decades in the trenches of courtrooms and boardrooms, I have learned that every move leaves a mark and every deal tells a story. What will we uncover today? Let's find out. Hey, real quick, before we dive into the episode, remember, nothing you hear on this podcast is intended to be legal, financial, or tax advice. I invite you to contact any of the guests you hear by looking in the show notes for their contact information, or if you'd like to reach out to me, you can find my contact information at daniellelaughlin.com. All right, now let's get into it. Hey, welcome back to More Than Legal. I'm your host, Danielle Laughlin, and we are here today to talk to an amazing entrepreneur, lawyer, and writer, author. So Tisha Morris is here today. She is out on the West Coast and taking time out to share some of her expertise. I am excited to introduce you to her because I kind of fangirled her. I went to South by Southwest this year for the first time. And I got on the app looking around, trying to see what other lawyers would be there. And then I saw her cute photo and I was like, she looks like a fun lawyer and there's not a lot of us. So I was immediately kind of attracted to Tisha and her vibes. And she was there and doing some mentorship as well. And so she may talk a little bit about that today. So we were going to meet up. And then we had it was like a serendipitous meetup at the taco bar before we were scheduled to meet up. And then I immediately recognized you, as I said at the time, because of your beautiful hair. And I was like, are you Tisha? And that's how we kind of just got to know each other. So it was a pretty wild ride there. And then we stuck around and hung out for a bit and really just connected as I think, like-minded people. At a great conference. So definitely big plug for South by Southwest. I think it's a great opportunity to meet people. So Tisha, why don't you give the audience your spiel about yourself and kind of who you are? How did you end up where you are today?
Okay. Well, first off, thanks for having me on your podcast. I am truly honored. And you didn't tell the whole story, and that there was only one, you know how crowded it is at every restaurant at South by Southwest. And I go to the bar is always the easiest place for a one person. And there's only one seat at the bar, and it's probably like a half a seat. And I shimmied my way in, and you were right there.
Yeah.
The odds are insane that happened.
The odds are insane. It was truly insane.
Yeah. And then we walked back to the conference center together, and you saved my life from a rogue ricochet flying down the whatever that is. Literally,
it was also serendipitous how that occurred, I think, too, because
Danielle, for listeners, viewers, Danielle literally pushed me out of the way from getting hit. So I'm here.
It was wild. It was wild. I mean, the guy was flying, and I just happened. I was looking your direction, so I kind of saw him, and you were talking to me, and then it was like, oh my gosh,
a one-way situation, and it was a two-way.
I think it actually was supposed to be. Oh wait, was it two-way? I don't know, but anyways, things were wild there. For anybody who's never been.
The answer of how I got where I am is because you saved my life, and since then, that life has been great. But the several decades before that have been a windy road that have been exciting as well. But yeah, I've been practicing entertainment law now since about 2019, 18 or so, although I've been a licensed attorney since way back in the 90s. So there's been a lot of stories in between there that are all very non-traditional. And so a lot of times when people ask me, I want to get into entertainment law, how did you do it? And I'm like, don't do what I did. Unless you want a memoir to write, which I have that as well. So
I haven't read it yet, but I'm very interested to do so.
it hasn't gotten published yet, so, but it's been written.
Great. Well, we'll be looking out for it then. But you have published. You have
Yes.
published some things. Yeah.
So yeah, so I out of law school, I'm from Tennessee, from Nashville, Tennessee. It was originally my hometown, and lived there most of my life. And out of law school, did the very traditional thing. I actually clerked for a couple of federal judges, and was on my way to a very traditional law path, actually. And then I started practicing law, and didn't love it. And I was in a kind of, when the judge I clerked for was a bankruptcy judge, and he was an expert and an amazing mentor and person. So I became kind of this expert in bankruptcy, which was not like that exciting, it turns out, in case anyone's wondering. And so I did what most people do. I went and got a degree in interior design.
The audience now knows why I was so interested to talk to you.
So I continued to practice law during the day. Went to interior design school at night, and I was just seeking something more creative. I've always had an attraction to spaces and design, and more of the aesthetics. And so around that time, I also started getting into the healing arts, into yoga and energy work and all those things. And so that time was the definitely where I got off of the normal traditional path and began my own journey. And that led me to become a feng shui expert in feng shui, which is a ancient Chinese science around space and interiors, and began writing and getting books published in that genre. And that was my career for a good 12 or so years, and ended up having 5 books published in that area. And then, well, the last 2 kind of veered into more of our own energy, and more of a business aspects of using the 5 elements, which are based in Chinese medicine. And so I kind of hit my own ceiling in that work. I kind of had written everything I wanted to write about it, had learned everything I wanted to learn about it. Not that that's everything, but and then around that time was also when things in Hollywood were really getting real with the Me Too movement. And I just really was like, woke up one day. It was really that simple of it's time for me to go back into law. And really, it was also around the time when Ruth Bader Ginsburg, the movie came out about her. And I began to understand the power of having a law degree or a law license, and how what the good what we can do. Not that bankruptcy wasn't important, because I was very sympathetic to debtors as much as I could be as a creditor's attorney. But I've always been attracted to, well, as an author myself, and understanding the power of story, whether it's in books to screen, and whether that's scripted or unscripted, or documentary or films, and the power that kind of work has on the collective, and how powerful that can be. And so that's why I very intentionally went back into law for this specific type of law, practicing law. So that's how I got here. And then I went to South by Southwest and met you, and had a second coming to life. So here we are.
So awesome. And we had talked about how we both started out in creditors' rights.
That's right.
And
Yeah.
yeah, and I had worked at a firm that did a lot of work up in Tennessee. I think we kind of were
Oh,
not at
that's
the
right. Yeah,
same
we had like
time.
a similar overlay. Yes, in
I
our
totally
timeline.
forgot about that until you were
I did too.
recounting, and then I was like, "Oh yeah." So we were meant to be, and I'm glad we're here because now we can share just a little bit about, I mean, you've had obviously an incredible journey. I mean, I know, being a lawyer, it's like people have a very boxed in idea of
Yeah.
lawyers if they don't know many personally, right?
Mhm.
And that's not usually creative or fun or purpose driven, dare I say. And
Right.
it is a lot more about fighting and
Mhm.
winning, right? And so I love that you kind of had this like full circle moment where it was like, hey, I can kind of merge these two sides of myself. And that's what really motivated me to reach out to you because I had reached kind of this similar point in my career where I was like, I love being a lawyer, but also I love being an artist and I love
Yeah.
how, like you said, story. And I don't know that I ever put that together before. And
Yeah.
so tell us more when you started in this space as an entertainment lawyer, what really made you want to step into that role? I mean, that can be speaking from experience, that could be a very intimidating industry to try to break into.
Yeah.
What How was that? Because were you already in LA at that time?
I was. Yeah, I came to LA in 2012. I've always wanted to live on the West Coast, specifically California. There was a window of opportunity with actually my feng shui work to come here. So that all worked out well. But yes, to your point, it was not an easy decision, or even after the decision was made, and easy because I had to take the entire California bar um, uh, to get my law license in California, which after not looking at a law book since the 90s was a very difficult feat, and was definitely a barrier, a threshold that I had to get through, and spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. Um, and so that was really my own test of if this is a path I want to take. And also, I mean, I had sworn off practicing law. I was like the biggest preacher of this, like I've come out of law and become into the healing art. I mean, that's like a story of any lawyer who's like, I'm a recovering attorney. Like I had
Yeah.
really like talked down my own law path so I'd already kind of made up the story about who I am, and I had to kind of debunk it and really start to put on a new hat, so to speak. And it was a very difficult time. It was also over by the time I was into the bar situation. I still have my license in Tennessee, but I live in California, so there's all those legalities.
Rules. Lots of
Um,
rules there.
yeah, we were starting to get into the COVID era, and that just it complicated things, but it also limited our options of where to put our focus on, right? So it did, in a way, I guess, maybe help focus and help me pass the bar.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
in the California bar, so for all the non-lawyers out there, right? There's like a few states
yeah,
that no longer a lot of states now are reciprocal states.
yeah,
But California and Florida, I think there are a couple others, but those are
yeah,
the two big ones,
yeah,
are not. And so you do, even if you've been practicing for decades, I mean, you still have to take the bar.
yeah.
And California in particular is known to be pretty grueling.
They
Um,
require a higher score. So the test, I don't think the test is that much different. You have to just do better.
you have to do better. Oh, it's not as that's not as bad as I actually was led to believe. I feel like maybe that's a good thing. So I'm glad you clarified because I understood it to just be like this monster. So maybe I'll take it too. I might be moving out with you and into
Okay,
LA.
awesome.
So yeah, so I want to kind of focus in on a couple of things because it takes a lot of courage to make any career shift at all. It takes a ton of courage and perseverance to take any bar exam at all. And, you know, it has been hard. And obviously, with the COVID, so, like you said, it's kind of pros and cons on the COVID factor.
Right.
But what do you think kept you going? Like, was it? Because I'll say this: when we were speaking, it was really apparent to me that your journey into authorship in particular was kind of this like point where there's a lot of red tape, if I remember correctly, and I don't want to paraphrase, but can you go into that? Like, were you motivated by this idea to help artists? Like, was that the prevailing
Yeah, so
motivator?
yeah, definitely the entry point into, I use the word the entertainment pretty broadly. When I say entertainment, I'm referring to anything that's like books and music and all of it, even though there is separate publishing law, there's separate music law and literary and that kind of thing. But book publishing was definitely my kind of my way in, just from my own experiences and my own contacts as well. But yeah, to your point, I really bargained a lot with whether I needed the whole lawyer hat or not. So I did start um, a publishing business, a kind of a self publishing hybrid type company where I helped authors get their books published. I also dabbled in literary agenting for a while, and so I kind of like, oh yeah, I don't need to do the whole law thing. I can just do this. And each time I mean, each of those mini paths were, I had some success with it, but it just wasn't fitting 100% of now what I know is what I'm capable of and what I'm best at. Um,
Yeah.
and my only frame of reference for practicing law was what I had done in the past. And had I known what a fit and how much I would like this type of law, I would have done it sooner.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
say that to people too. Like, I never thought merging my art and my legal profession was really an option. I just kind of had like these silos in my life. It's like, oh, well, I do this stuff over here, but then during the day I'm doing this stuff. It was
Yeah. Yeah.
very
Yeah.
separate. Do
Yeah.
you feel now like are you feeling like you're more holistic in your spiritual journey? Like, are you a more complete human now that you've kind of merged these paths together?
Oh, that's a great question. Yeah, 100%. And I think that was that inkling I was getting when I said I just woke up one day. I kind of had hit a ceiling. By hitting a ceiling, I had fully expressed that aspect of myself, and now it was time to integrate this other aspect, which is the lawyer. I never really fully embraced that. Well, I was in the more of a litigation place with the law before, and now this is all transactional, which is all dealing with words. It's just a different way of writing, being
Yeah.
very specific with each and every word, which I love. Playing with words, and that's what I do is drafting contracts or responding to other people's bad contracts. Um, nothing better than getting a red note with a red line.
Yeah,
So it's a
exactly.
different type of writing that I really enjoy.
I love that. I think too, I'll say, I always say I'm not a recovering lawyer because I still obviously practice law, but I keep telling everyone I'm trying to be a recovering litigator.
Yeah.
Uh, that plan is not working out so great because unfortunately it kind of just seems like a necessary evil in the business world sometimes. But I do believe that being a litigator probably makes you better at transactional work anyway, because you actually
Yeah.
know what, what are they going to tear apart? What are they
Yeah.
going to lean into? And simplicity, right? Like just
Yeah.
making it understandable.
I mean, our goal as lawyers, at least on the transactional side, is we're always looking at what could go wrong, right? Unfortunately, and that unfortunately bleeds over into all aspects of my life. Like, we could have a fire. Let's get pressure supplies, Um, but in each negotiation or contract, situation, what could go wrong? We hope for the best, but we plan for the worst, kind of thing. What's a termination? Everything, all good things that come to an end at some point. How do we want it to end? And so looking out in that way, um, and so and also preventing litigation, like drafting these. And I mean, you can't 100% ever prevent people acting out, but or getting upset or whatever, breaching contracts, but tailoring it in a way that sets the parties up best to prevent litigation.
Absolutely. And I tell folks, you know, just because we put these documents together, it doesn't mean somebody might not try you.
Yeah,
I mean, like they might try you. Who knows? And maybe again, it's not even intentional. Like there's just a disagreement, and
that's right.
reasonable minds can differ, right? And that's one
Right.
of the things that we were, probably
Yeah.
like pounded into our heads in law school, right? Reasonable minds can differ, and
Yeah.
so
I try to eliminate any gray whatsoever in an agreement as much as I
yeah,
can.
exactly. Otherwise, you have to have somebody else decide what they think about it, which is
Yeah.
not
Yeah,
not
which I'm
always the best option.
getting ready to add mediation, services
Yeah,
to my practice, so I'm kind of excited about that. So another
that's great.
workaround litigation or to prevent litigation. So I'm a
Love it.
peacemaker, not a fighter.
Not a fighter, yes, I know, and I actually want to add some mediation too at some point. I think I feel like even the best intended negotiations, arm's length,
Yeah,
before an actual lawsuit occurs, are still adversarial, and there's always an angle, you
yeah.
know. So, so tell me, as an entertainment attorney and obviously as a published author yourself, you have to protect your own ideas, right? Your own relationships and all of that. How do you do that? I mean, this world, like this is something. Some of the content that you put out, I really enjoy because it's similar to some of the stuff I put out around intellectual property, AI, the changing landscape in storytelling, and again across all genres. But how do you do that for yourself? Are you like a protect everything type of lawyer, or are you more like, there's a cost benefit analysis that has to happen? How do you look at that?
I try to take the advice I give my clients, and even though I would not, obviously, I'm not a entertainer, so to speak, or what you would think as a content creator, but we are, you and I, and like if you're running your own business, you are a content creator. If you're doing any marketing whatsoever, and so in the entertainment space and music and both in all the entertainment spaces, um, the independent space is becoming really the where it's all happening because the what we think of as the labels and the studios and the big publishers are well, let's just say that most of my clients are in the independent space, and so their platform or um, their social media presence, all of that, creating their own brand is really where everything's moving towards. And so I have to
Hmm.
do that as well. I have to create my own brand as being a as an entrepreneur. I'm obviously not, neither of us are in some big firm where the firm is, we just are a part of this group, which I value and admire and would some days would love to be in. But but no, I am my own brand, and so I have to um, do my own protections, just like, and I would advise my clients whether it's trademark or copyright, um, and also create my own brand, which is just me, and like your brand is you, and
Hmm.
my firm is Legacy Arts Law, and that is actually a new branding. And I filed the trademark in January. I'm still waiting to get that approved, but so yeah, I
Awesome.
do try to do all the things I tell my clients to do.
Yes. As a good lawyer should, I think. I always tell my clients, I'm like, well, I finally did get that registered trademark, but I had to rebrand, right?
Yeah.
And I love legacy. That is like my main motivator. And you also mentioned the independent space, which I 100% agree. Our client base and most of the listeners, I think, are in a pretty broad range of service, mostly service-based industries.
Mhm.
Although we do sometimes work with product-based companies, but in that space, in that, being an entrepreneur, I think a lot of people don't realize they are they are a brand. They're kind of the walking billboard. Like you said, there's no Coca-Cola or big law firm that's been around for hundreds of years to kind of drive. those eyeballs and that interest. And so you're the person creating it. And it's always good to take a dose of our own medicine. And it helps you be able to be empathetic with your clients.
Yes. Yes.
So they know, like, if they come to you, you've been there. And I think that gives you a lot of credibility. So in this process, I mean, I know COVID kind of forced us all to slow down, but you've had an incredible journey and just of this self-revelation. Did you ever have to kind of force yourself to slow down or kind of take a step back, or did all of this stuff happen for you more kind of progressively?
I would say progressively. My wife gives me a really hard time that I'm like the most balanced person on the planet, and like I'm the one who goes to sleep, gets my 8 hours, goes to the gym, like, and and it's not anyway. So she gives me a really hard time for my bent towards being what she would call balanced. I just think of it as just staying alive, but um, so yeah, I'm not an extreme person. I'm not. I don't do extreme things, even though I've made some what seem like extreme choices. But I'm not one to jump off the cliff. I'm the one to build a bridge and then walk over it. So yeah, each of the big decisions I've made, which there have been a lot. I mean, even just moving across country, not knowing hardly anybody, and having a few books under my belt, and a dream was pretty bold. But even that, and that was probably the closest to jumping up a cliff I've done. Um, but I was in my midlife crisis moment, so
Yeah.
it worked.
Well, I love it. I love how you give that imagery of building a bridge, so it's like we may have other lawyers listening
Yeah.
that, like how many attorneys had, I know you know them because I know some of them too. And it's like, oh, it could be as simple as like you said, switching a practice area. It could be
I'm moving out of big law, and I like to
moving
try.
out of big law. Yeah.
Yeah,
Moving across the country, taking another bar exam.
yeah,
And all of us, all people, I think, but maybe lawyers especially, can be pretty risk averse. So, like,
yeah,
your
and it's
imagery of that bridge is so critical because it's like you don't have to throw the baby out with the bathwater. You just have to have a plan. And you know, uh, there's a quote, and I'm terrible with quotes, so I'm definitely going to botch it. But it's like, complexity is the enemy of execution, right? And so,
mhm,
and kind of the opposite of
yeah,
that is, simplicity, like one brick at a time to build this bridge.
yeah.
Like that's very powerful. Have you counseled any other lawyers? Has anybody reached out to you to say, tell me what you did and how you did
Um, I I'll have LinkedIn, like,
it?
law school students, "Hey," like, I guess, like, "Tell me how you got into entertainment law." I'm like, "We don't have time." Don't do what I do, but no, I haven't, like, I did do life coaching. That was, part of my healing arts path, back in the day, and there was a lot of career transition coaching that I did do, but not specifically to lawyers. Yeah, and I did so part of my feng shui, uh, platform, so to speak, I was a decluttering expert as well. One of my books was called, it's still available, and it's my favorite my favorite book on decluttering. It's called Clutter Intervention, and so much of that book really is about changing and pivoting in our life, whether it's relationships or career, and it's almost like a how-to book, how to make big changes book, and our stuff just being the representation of that. And to your point of like, it's not about throwing things out, literally like decluttering, which you can, but it's more of becoming more, is what you said in the beginning, just becoming more of or bringing in more aspects of ourself that haven't been expressed or fully expressed. And then maybe it's something that we dabbled in as children, that now wants to come out and play again.
Yeah. Play, play. Our inner childs want to play. Childs?
Yeah.
Children? whatever.
Children.
um, they want to play, and they can. And I think you have a beautiful story about how that's possible, even in a very traditional industry. Not a lot of ladies. I mean, there's a lot of women in law, but maybe not as I'm not going to say maybe. There are not as
Yeah,
many that are leading their own practices and really taking control of their careers. And
true.
so I will say I commend you. I think that what you do is great, and I love to meet other women in the profession who are being bold and just like saying, "Look, you don't have to do it the boys' way." Like what? We don't have to do it that way. We can do it our way, and we can still be just as effective, and maybe more so in some respects. But I think one of the revelations I've had is about the values alignment, and I want to work with people that share my values, and those values are traditional in some respects, right? Like we all have to make money. I guess we can call that the traditional path. I don't know, but but we don't have to do it at the expense of our inner child or at the expense of other people. So when you look back, we'll kind of draw it down for the audience. We'll kind of do a little reflection point. But when you look back, do you ever see anything that maybe looked aligned? I know you kind of touched on this a little bit when you were talking about um, how you kind of said I'm a recovering lawyer, and then you had to kind of well, actually, uh, but I think too. I mean, a little off track here, and I'm kind of rambling, but I'll get to the point because I think it's important. Like in the '90s, uh, what role model, like who were you going to look to as any sort of inspiration to do law in a different way? I mean, I just don't think that was going down like that back then. I
um,
don't. Maybe
I
I'm wrong.
No, I love that you answered that question because I don't have a lot of people I look up to, but during that time, I know exactly who it was. Is John Grissom, um,
Yes.
he still is. That's going to be my third career as being a legal fiction author, legal thriller fiction author. Well, if I can, first I need to figure out how to say it, and then I'll write it. But yes, so I went to law school at University of Memphis, which is where the firm takes place in Memphis, and
Yes.
it excuse me, came out or right around that time. I'm getting choked up. Um, and so I never read. Sorry, I'm
Don't worry. Take your time.
sorry. Wow. Talk about some energetics.
Don't worry. Yeah, don't worry because we're going to just edit this part
All
out.
right.
So just take your time. Not a
Whoa,
big
that
deal.
was like, I don't know what that
I
was.
know. I hate when that happens. I've been having this.
Like one of those like tickles in your throat. Okay. So, um, that is going to be my third career, is being a legal thriller novelist. But that was the reason in your, coming out of college, you're like, what am I going to do? I always um, saw myself going to law school, but I didn't really see what it was going to happen after that. Obviously, for good reason, because I never could have made that up. But um, so yeah, John Grissom was my role model, being an attorney and then becoming a writer. And that's still where I am, honestly.
I love that. I love that. I love John Grisham. And are you gonna do a pseudonym or just keep us posted on this third career, okay?
I have
I'm super interested.
a bunch of manuscripts in my computer that I've started, and I have a series with a female lawyer, and then I have other books, but I do have some under a ghost name, and then some under my own name.
Amazing. Amazing. I actually, so this is kind of similar. I wanted to be a lawyer because of Matlock, watching
Okay.
Matlock.
Yeah.
And because I was a performer as a kid. And it's interesting because you're an author, right? And I'm more like a performer, like I'm a trial lawyer. I like to tell the
Yeah.
story physically, right? And so I always loved Andy Griffith's role. And this is so funny because I keep teasing my family about this, but a few months before the new Matlock came out, did you know they redid Matlock,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. I saw Kathy Bates, in
Kathy
LA
Bates.
doing an interview about it recently.
Kathy Bates, perfect choice. But it was a few months before that where I was like, you know what? I'm going to remake Matlock with a female lead. That's what I'm going to do. Like I had claimed it,
Mhm.
and my family was like, nobody's going to watch that. Like my husband was like, hard pass. A few months later, I was like, see, you don't
Love it.
even know what I have inside
Love
of me, okay, people.
it.
Um, but no, I love that. I love that you haven't given that dream up either, right? And I think too, it's almost like let's flip the script on what people think lawyers are supposed to be, or how we as attorneys should be acting or showing up in the world. And we're not the only ones, obviously. There's actually a pretty big movement now to be more authentic and more personal in how we serve clients, which I love. I love that.
Mhm.
Um, so, is there anything that's like a behind the scenes decision that made your business stronger? And maybe we'll just talk most recently, around your entertainment practice. Did you ever do anything that maybe nobody sees or noticed, but you think made a big difference in your business?
There is something I just recently did that is already I'm already seeing the positive difference in, so I was lived in LA for 10 years, and then we moved to Ojai, which is this small kind of creative spiritual town just north of LA. It's a place where a lot of people in LA come for the weekend to get away. And so we made this our home at the end of COVID, and absolutely love being here. But I have still been with a LA office address, and just recently moved my official office to Ojai, and actually in an office space in Ojai, and really just claiming my space here. And it's obviously I serve clients all over the country, so location is becoming less and less important, honestly. And yet, for me, with space being so important to me, it really has made a difference. And I question whether that was a smart strategic move or not, because Los Angeles is kind of the hotbed, and it's only an hour or so drive, so it's not that far, and it's definitely doable to have an office there. But really being here and being my metaphorical home and literal home has made a big difference.
Oh, I love that. I love that. There's a lot of pressure here in Atlanta for the same thing.
Yep.
I mean, I think in conversation, I say I'm in Atlanta, but really I live
Yep.
in the suburbs, you know, and we actually hosted an event here at our office last night. And it's always a hit or miss on who's going to show up because we're like technically outside of, Atlanta proper.
Right.
And I will say, when I live, in Atlanta, it's ITP and OTP. It's like outside the perimeter,
Uh-uh.
inside the
Uh-huh.
perimeter,
Yep.
right? When I was ITP, you couldn't pay me to go OTP.
Right.
And now that I'm
I
OTP,
know.
you pretty much can't pay me to go ITP. And so it's interesting. I think it's also, like you said, like you question the strategy, but like it sounds like you
You have to go where your home, like where your physical and your mental emotional have to all align.
absolutely, absolutely. And I love the city. I mean, there's an aspect of me that's a city girl and always will be.
Mhm.
But then there's another aspect of me that's just a mom and a wife and a lawyer with a business. And I don't know that I don't know that I'll ever go back full time to city living,
Yeah,
honestly. I'm not familiar with Ojai, but now I'm super curious. So when I come visit, I'm gonna have you give me like a whole tour. We're
for
gonna go
sure.
around. So let's wrap here, and I like to end with, first and foremost, how can people find you? Where do you want them to go to get to know more about you?
Sure. My website is probably the best place, legacyartslaw.com. My author website is at tishamorris.com. Either one will take you to either place. Yeah, I'm on all the socials pretty much. Instagram, Tisha L. Morris, LinkedIn. I've made myself pretty easy to find, which I recommend for anyone doing business. Make it easy to find me and to pay me. So those are my two rules.
Absolutely. Yes, love that. Love that. So as we close out today, Tisha, is there any parting remarks or advice that you would give to either an entrepreneur, a lawyer, or just somebody who is going through business and trying to do it authentically, and successfully, right? So what kind of advice do you have for our listeners?
Ultimately, in all the decisions and the hard decisions that we've talked about today, they all come down to my what my body will let me do, and it's those gut, whether it's a good gut feeling or a bad gut feeling, or wherever that gut feeling shows up in your body. Um, Listen, pay attention to what your body wants and needs, and that will guide you in the right direction.
I love it. You're so right. We have a vessel. We have a vessel. So this has been incredible. Thanks again for taking time to speak to our audience very authentically about your journey. I think that you provided so much powerful insights and really I'll say just motivation for those that may be trying to make some changes in their lives. So thanks again, Tisha. And for all of you that are listening, go check out Tisha's information. We're going to link it in the show notes so you can get to know her better. She has her own show. What's your podcast? Is something entertainment law?
Entertainment business podcast. Yeah.
Business.
Yeah.
Entertainment business podcast. So we do have some entertainment industry folks listening, I'm sure. So definitely check out Tisha's podcast. She's a wealth of knowledge and she brings on a lot of really cool people to talk about the entertainment business. So Tisha, thanks again.
Well, I want to
And
thank you for
yeah,
everything you're doing, and everything you said about me. I likewise to you, and you trailblazing for women in law and in other areas. So thank you.
thank you. Thank you so much. It's so good to connect with like-minded people to make the world a better place. I mean, we all have to live here together. So I appreciate that you said that. And bye, everybody. We'll catch you on the next episode. Don't forget to tune in, and we'll talk to you then. Thank you for listening to the show. Remember, stay sharp, stay curious, and stay tuned for our next episode. Bye for now.